Thanks everyone for joining us today, and I'm very happy to see so many of you. I missed yesterday's session because we are in mega campaigns session right now for Lazada, as you all know. 11/11 is coming up. So we are, all the gray hair is coming out right now for us. But yes, and I'm also very pleased to be here in offline, in person, because we missed that for the past 2 years. I'm very used to this room, coming to this room earlier. So I am, I used to be a market researcher, but now everyone calls me a UX researcher, and I still feel at heart I'm still a market researcher. And I don't really understand the difference. Frankly, I feel that there is a lot of synergies, and there is a lot of things which, in terms of methodologies and everything, and UX research is just a part of research. So frankly, if you ask me about UX, CX, and all the differences, there is a lot of places where things actually merge together. So I've been in research for 19 over years, and have delved in initially with quantitative and a lot of analytics back in my Kantar days, and then started doing both quantitative and qualitative, then went into big data, and now doing almost everything actually, UX, market, user research, because I had the function which is called UX and user research, but we do a lot of market research in Lazada in my particular team. So going on to, okay, I'm sorry, I never asked how I'm supposed to go to the next slide. Should I just go to the green button? Yeah, okay. Okay, sure, yeah. So, so today's topic was learnings from UX, especially how do we integrate design thinking, behavioral science to promote empathy as a tool within, to create better inclusive products. And whenever you're talking about empathy, it obviously is about creating empathy among the stakeholders, especially because we are in the client side. So among the stakeholders about the users. So it's not so much about the methodology, but it's about just generating interest in research, which is, I think, one of the most difficult things I'm going to talk about, because I'm always used to talking about how we did a methodology, what results we got, and how it impacted our business results. And I'm very comfortable doing that. This is the first time I'm talking about the process I went through for the past 3 years. I'm been there for more than 3 years. And when I took up this role, there was no team in Lazada which was doing research. So it was more like designers just going out and doing 2-3 interviews, because that's all they knew what research is about. And so when I went there, it was like kind of a revelation for me that, research, that no one really knows much about research other than the 4 or 5 interviews, and just getting them interested itself. And so this is kind of, my journey in Lazada in a way. So how do we inculcate the design thinking mindset, best practices, and how do we bring different people from different teams, because it's a huge company in general, not just Lazada, because we work very closely with Alibaba. So in fact, my team is mainly Alibaba people, so because I'm from the product team. So automatically bringing everyone together, people who speak different languages, people who are from different backgrounds, how do you bring them together? So one of the things which helps us as the research team is that there is a core value which Jack Ma has spoken about, and you've seen many memes perhaps about it, that customer first, employees second, and investors third. Thankfully, we are second, so at least. So customers first, and that's something which we always tout, because the researchers, whenever we need to get our job done. So this is what we always tout as that it is our core value of the company. So then hence, we can live customer first, which becomes our core strategy as a company. So and this, how do you drive this? The driver is obviously understanding the user. So this makes our job much easier as a researcher within the company. Thankfully, Jack Ma said that. So So there are some tenets of research which, had I said this on day one? No. Over time, of course, these are things which I have seen has worked in driving research within a company. So one of them was that to make people understand that they have to self-evaluate what they are, developing themselves. And then build the empathy and then become proactive. So there are these stages which they go through. So when I mean self-evaluate, so what we encourage actually, that put yourself in the shoes of the user. And this is very difficult to do actually, because most people, they love what they do. And they are best of designers, they are the best of tech people, best of business people, best of product. And they feel that whatever they're bringing to the table is the best. So, but then perhaps a user might not. And I think all of you have seen a lot of videos which shows how a product doesn't suit the user. And most of us are in research, so we all already know that. So one of the things which we have is that everyone is a brand ambassador. So we use in fact, I don't check my emails because I don't use emails, but we use an app and something called DingTalk, where everything of our company is there. Actually, you can do everything, even live streaming from there. So there we have something called We Care, which is for the employees, which means that you are a brand ambassador. Everyone doesn't need to, if you know an employee of Lazada, including me, if you need to put in any kind of issues, any bugs which you have seen, any complaints, you can contact or even FAQs. If you need something, you can just, as a buyer, as a seller, as an affiliate, any question you have, you can just ask the person. There is a whole FAQ section, and then again, you can suggest an idea, raise an issue, report a bug. So anyone comes to us, we can immediately do that for the person instead of the person going to customer service. And the best part is that anything which comes through We Care actually gets resolved faster because it's something where somebody is allocated immediately, and we know the person who is handling it internally and all. And if we are suggesting an idea or raising an issue which is really important for Lazada to resolve or to put that idea in place. So anyone who submits We Care ideas, I think gets $10 voucher or something. And and the best part is, if your idea is implemented, then you get a shout out in the company and you get some more vouchers, etc. So it motivates the employees as well. And we have 10,000 over employees in this region, so why not utilize them as the brand ambassadors? So this is one of the initiatives we had started, and this is an ongoing initiative from the past 2 years. The other is the heuristic evaluation, because you see almost all of us are buying heavily from Lazada, even like we are super users, right? We are always using Lazada as an employee as well. So what we do is we do heuristic evaluation, and of course we do, I can't really show all the numbers because it's confidential. So, but we do a full evaluation. Say we'll go to homepage, we'll do an evaluation of heuristics based on all the UX parameters, and we will look at not just Lazada but our competition as well. So we do both, and then we'll give scoring. Plus there will be PPTs which are submitted, which is online editable, where people go and put in that this is the screenshot and this is why I'm saying so. Like the reasons behind it, which is more the qualitative part. So this is more the quantitative numbering part, and then we have the qualitative part also, which is submitted by everyone. And these are internal people who are doing it. These are usually it's led by an expert designer who will not be handling that particular topic, so that they are unbiased. So it's kind of like bug bash also, which we call it. I think some companies have that. We also have that, where so at the end of this we have the bug bash, which means that everything is brought together and you are trying to find out all the issues, you're trying to find solutions. So there's a brainstorming session after this evaluation is done. The other thing is the dog fooding, which means that I think any tech company has, which is having an internal customer community where you go on putting in your feedback. Anything which is about to be launched initially is launched within the company, and then you put in your feedback, and once it is, I think this is standard for any tech companies. Yeah. The other thing is about then building the empathy. How do you get their interest in user feedback? Obviously, once they have evaluated it themselves and they find that, oh, there are so many errors, there are so many things I can improve upon, there are, like, I'm finding issues, there are people I know, my family or my friends are telling me these are issues which I am putting through WeCare. Also, my other designer colleagues are telling me issues, and then maybe I should look into, user some research as well, or understand user feedback. And that's where we have a whole research library, which anyone who joins in Lazada can access all the research reports which are there, which, well, only the interested people read through it, but others will usually, they will not really go through the library, they will just come and ask us, do we have a research report on this, and we will send them the research report. And then there is live streaming. Yeah, so this is something which we started, is even though stakeholders would give us the objectives, and we were doing these fancy research with online diaries and ethnography and so all the methodologies you can think of, we were doing it, eye tracking and all. But no one was attending the interviews. We were the only ones as a researcher attending the interview. Moderators were there, and we were just doing a recording, transcript, and getting a report. And we didn't want that. Like, we felt that if you are, like, we have, 30 domains which we are covering. You are covering only one domain. You better be interested in your domain. So that was our mentality, that if you are giving us an objective and you are covering only one domain, at least I try to understand what the users are saying, and that too only for 1 hour, 2 hours. That's all we want from you. So what we started doing is we live stream user interviews and report sharings within the groups, because we use apps for all our, so there are these chat groups for every research, and the stakeholders are there. So automatically some of them, it opens, the live streaming actually opens up automatically. So, so even if they are not really, viewing the actual FGD, they can listen, and while they are doing their work. So automatically there are some parts which they catch on, and then they will ask questions that, okay, can you delve deeper on this, or can you probe further on this, because they are listening while they are doing their work. So this is something which we kind of forced upon them. So yeah, the other things is that one of the reasons for video reports is because people don't read our reports in PPT all the time, except the executive summaries most of the time. So one of the things which we started is more video reports, where we gather together, and we have an editor for that. So and there's an editing person, there's 2 people who works on that, and they edit the FGD videos. There are some, like sometimes we will also ask the respondents, say, like, we have done some fashion interviews, some beauty interviews, where we went for street intercepts, where we went to these malls and any of these hangout places where we have the most fashionable youngsters hanging out. We went and did a lot of street intercepts over there, and then came back and edited those videos so that people can see what they are wearing, what they like to wear, and the most important thing, where do they buy it from, and why do they buy it from there, because as an e-commerce company, that's what we are more interested in. And also going into their households. So instead of going into their households ourselves, because that would be very expensive, and frankly, Lazada doesn't have that kind of research budget, because we do everything internally, if you can imagine, like all of these, like we actually do it internally within Lazada. So we ask them to submit videos of their wardrobe, which are the clothes which they love to wear, which are the clothes which they bought but do not wear, and why did they buy it from the particular, whatever e-commerce. It can be offline as well, because offline is also equally in competition for us. So, so those are things which we try to gather from video reports to get them, and then they feel a lot more closer to the user. Another reason for this is because in Lazada we have mostly people who are based in China, right? Our teams are all based in China. And in fact, now I'm also working for Europe market. So I'm actually leading the research in Europe, so I'm not even based there. So including myself, I'm not very aware of the market. So same is for the other teams who are the tech team or business team, or even the designers. They are all based in other countries where the users are based in a different country altogether, and hence the videos actually makes them feel closer to the user because they can see a very different kind of lifestyle or a very different kind of user. The research repository is something which we started new because people were not looking into the full PPT a lot of times, and most of the times they would be like, give us just the key insights, the three things which I need to do. It's always 3. I don't know why, but it's always 3. So what we do is that we have something like a searchable Excel sheet. You might just, we started off with an Excel sheet in fact, but it's just that 3 things for UX, 3 things for business, 3 things for tech, 3 things for, like the different teams which are involved in a product development. So those are the 3 things which you need to do in the next 2-3 months. Basically, those are how we set it. And then we measure it, whether they have done it or not, and whether we have got improvements. So that's something which we have started. And actually, that's going much better than the full PPTs. And another thing which we have also started doing is after every research, what we do is we include sorry, I'll come to that later. The customer day is something which we started doing is that after doing all these interviews and FGDs, we find that there are some dissatisfied users, right? There will be some very dissatisfied users, including in our quantitative, because we do our quantitative ourselves, and within our panel, which means our user database, we can always ask them that, do you want to have a follow-up of this research? And most of them leave their number and email. So we find out who are the most dissatisfied user every month. We gather them and we do 2 interviews with them. And this is for the C-suite. So there's a dedicated day every month when the C-suite has to attend these 2 interviews. It's just 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, and they have to attend it according to, this was actually a very top-down approach, which was decided by the group CEO. And I think it's a very interesting thing because that leads them to again tell the teams that you should attend user research or you should look into this. So this is a very interesting thing which is very useful because when the C-suite attends it. The other thing is that we have been using the same tools as stakeholders. So this, like a lot of them uses Figma, some Miro as well. So in Figma what we do is after everything is done, so in like say those 3 inputs, whichever is to be done, or if say when we are doing usability testing, instead of just sending them a PPT, we will actually go into their design and then mark it out over there that these are the issues. So so everything remains in their Figma document instead of a separate PPT. That makes life easier for them to implement things, and everyone who's in that Figma document is like using that Figma document sees those issues clearly mentioned over there. So I think I'm going a bit slow, and you all are all due for lunch, so I'll just go a bit faster. So yeah, so another thing is that for design thinking, of course, so automatically after they have seen all of this, then we expect them to be much more proactive in their research, because we are just a small team. We are like 15 people, and which is a very small team for such a big organization, and that's why I have a difficulty in hiring as well, because anyone who hears that don't want to join us. But what we do is awesome lot, like the amount of research which we do. So we encourage people to just go and do their own secondary research first, because very likely we have already covered that topic, very likely we already have some information on that. And then we monitor results through dashboards, and these dashboards are rating reviews, feedbacks which are coming, and that's very qualitative because that's coming in from the App Store or through our app. And this one, I have 2 people in my team who just caters to this. Initially, they had joined, when they had joined last year, they were just training the software. So they were training the software to tag it, to raise tickets automatically. So whenever they see some keywords, it will be tagged to a particular particular type of feedback, and it will be automatically sent to the particular specific team as by raising a ticket. So these are things which, it was kind of NLP and AI, you might say, but that was all done last year. And this year, obviously then, since the machine has already learned, so the machine learning has already gone through a phase, so it becomes much more easier now for us. And then, of course, we do regular research requests and follow-up research. So some of the regular research requests and follow-up research is what I'll take you all through very quickly. One of the things which, I think most of you all have seen this in terms of the double diamond design process, that the research and insights, that it is an iterative process. But we found that because the process was, like most of them had very few questions, whether it was quantitative, qualitative, usability, very few questions sometimes. And then we had to tell them, no, we cannot, because it's not enough budget, not enough time, not enough resources, whatever. Every company has these limitations. So we had to tell them off that, no, we are going to only do the strategic projects, only the bigger ones. So what we did is that even though people wanted that whole iterative process and multiple times they wanted to check it, we couldn't. So this is what what we came up with, is that whenever they look at NPS scores, they can look at several different types of data which we have, and not just just be content with NPS score and have a full-fledged research only for that, but instead we merged NPS with the design thinking model, where we have NPS score, we take the customer service contact reasons, and then we deep dive into it, because NPS scores are typically very high level. We go into it and see the BI data behind it, the UX SAT scores, heuristics, ad hoc survey, because these are also happening parallelly. So then we try to merge it and find out the reasons for the drivers. And then we, obviously they will go and ideate, prototype and all, and then we continuously monitor whether the NPS scores are improving. The other thing which I was talking about, where they come up with these small little research request, and we have the same thing, this is for qualitative, but we have the same thing for quantitative and for usability testing. So we have an omnibus survey within Lazada itself, and omnibus FGDs. So this is basically one research, multiple stakeholders. So that, so one FGD covering 5 topics, each of them gets 20 minutes per topic. So if they have small, a few different objectives, which I cannot have budget for, or I cannot allocate resources for the entire FGD on its own, because we have to cover 6 countries as well, and at least 2 to 3 FGDs in each country. So it's a cost effect. This is just a cost efficient way of doing it. So this is what we run every month, and then we have obviously set timelines by when they have to give us their objectives, and we do it very in a very cost efficient, and in general it's very operationally efficient. Yeah. The other one is, of course, as I was saying, we do a lot of online diaries and online ethnography. So here's some of the things which we have been doing, like where we mix up a lot of methodologies, which means that within the same study itself, we will mix up methodologies. And I have spoken about this perhaps in another forum as well. Like the way we do it is that it's not just the online diary, but here, as you can see, people, because we want it to be longitudinal. So when they log into online diary, initially they are taken to some unmoderated usability testing tasks. And so that what we can get from there is the usability and the navigation to understand their behavior. And then they come back and they are talking about their perceptions and attitudes in the online diary, and interacting with the other forum members as well. So these are kind of the different things which which we do. And this also encourages that, because if you're just doing usability testing, most of the time people will not go and watch the videos. But the moment they see it being discussed in an online diary, because they can view the online diary as an observer, and we also paste screenshots for them. So then they are interested in looking at the video as well for the unmoderated usability testing as well. Unmoderated is basically, we don't moderate it. It works like, I think most of you are familiar with it. It's like, sending out an online survey just for usability testing. And this is also something which we have been doing, and in fact, this is a study which is running right now because it's 11/11. Any campaign time, what we do is we try to do online diaries and we try to capture it along with BI data and eye tracking at the same time, using online forum. So in fact, to quickly show you how we did this and the effect and the impact of it. So this is what we had done in 2020. So if during teasing stage we found that our users were struggling with eye fatigue because we had changed the color in teasing from teasing 1 to teasing 2, and BI data was showing us that people, as much as, we have some benchmarks, right? Like how much people will, what is the CTR for homepage, and they were showing that it's going down or it's not that good. So we found out from the online diary that this was the cause. And of course we have people on standby during this phase. It's like everyone is on, it's all hands on 11/11, no one gets to do anything else. So that's so the tech team and the design team immediately changed the color, and we saw actually a 3%. I'm not supposed to show 3% here, so I'm just verbalizing it. And homepage CTR improving by 3% is a lot actually during campaign. So it improved immediately by 3% the same day. So these are ways how we try to gather online diary, eye tracking, BI data, and everything together. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Any questions?
So we have time, yeah, for 1 or 2 questions.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Suyash. I'm from HP. So thanks for sharing, how Lazada has this excellent way of capturing so many issues, bugs from, different sources. I'm just trying to understand which team really, looks at all these sources and tries to prioritize the kind of issues for the R&D team to fix on.
Okay.
And also, what are the priorities? Like, is it experience issues like the app hanging, spinning,
Yes.
or is it more like, business-related issues?
Yeah.
Like,
so the research team is
Thanks.
supposed to already decide which will go to business, which will go to UI, because more or less right, which one is for a tech team to solve. And if we go to the wrong team, of course they will just push us back and say, this is not us, this is for this team to resolve. And no one will take up something which is not theirs. So that's how we will initially raise a ticket. And in the ticket, typically, we are supposed to raise also the priority. Now, this may not be priority for the business team or the tech team immediately. So they are free to decide on the prioritization among themselves. So they have a lead who is looking into who are involved in this conversation. So every time we are raising a ticket, wherever we see a bug or issue, or we are giving them a list of top three, then they can always say, no, that this will not be only 3 months, this will take longer. Sometimes the product life cycle, the development life cycle is higher, so automatically they will, so that is a conversation that usually happens after the research. So that brainstorming, and the prioritization, we can show enough numbers that this is, this is a bug which everyone is talking about. So there is a traffic light kind of this thing approach which we take for our research results as well, that this is very important, or most people are impacted by it, or most people at least notice it. Even if it doesn't hamper their usability, they at least notice that issue. So similarly, we have that kind of a traffic light distribution, and then it's up to them, after the discussion, whether they want to focus on that or not. Yeah.